Hey everyone, this video will walk you through the new Waterfall module that was installed into the condominium development model. And as always, if you're watching this on YouTube, just head down to the description. You can click on the link, and through that link, you'll be able to find the download for this model. So you could do that, come back, and follow along with the video. All right, so once you have the model open, you'll open it up and you'll be greeted with the summary page. So from here, just click on the Waterfall tab below, because this is where we are going to be spending all our time in this video. All right, so this module can be broken down into three sections. We have our input section in the upper left. We have our return metrics to the right of that, and we have our cash flow section, which I'll zoom out so you can get a larger view of the whole cash flow section below. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll use the input section of the module to walk through everything, and as we change assumptions in the input section, we'll take a step back and see what happens within the cash flow section. Okay, so as you can see from the input section, this model has 3 tiers and also has the ability to select between an IRR hurdle method or an equity multiple hurdle method. And one of the things you'll notice as we switch between the equity multiple hurdle method and the IRR hurdle method is that there will be some conditional formatting happening, not only in the input section, but also in the cash flow section. First, in the input section, you'll see if we're in the IRR method, all the inputs related to the equity multiple will be blacked out, and vice versa. If we're in the equity multiple method, the inputs for the IRR hurdles will be blacked out. And if we zoom out to the cash flow, you can see all of this blacked out area are the IRR calculations. And if we switch, because right now we're in the equity multiple method or scenario, if we switch to the IRR method, the inverse happens where all of the equity multiple calculations are blacked out. All right, so let's zoom back in and keep going here. All right, so the next section here is the partnership equity contribution. So whenever there's negative cash flow or cash outflow to the partnership, this is how it is allocated among the partners. So right now we have the limited partners paying 90% and the general partner paying 10%. And if we go to our cash outflows, we can see this playing out. So for example, in period 2, there's about $111,000 of negative cash flow, of which the limited partner is paying 90% and the general partner is paying 10% of that. And so, real quick, just to back up, in all the tiers we have the cash flow separated between the limited partner up top and the general partner below. We have a summary of the cash flow, and then below that we'll have the cash remaining that's available to go into the next tier. So right now we currently have a 90-10 split. Let's just change this real quick to a 75-25 just so we can verify that everything's in working order. So as you can see, these numbers have changed. So of that $111,000, there's now a 75% being allocated to the limited partner, and 25% of that is being allocated to the general partner. All right, so moving forward, we have our first hurdle rate for tier 1 set at 8%, and we have a preferred return for our limited partner. If the limited partner has a preferred return, there are 2 options for the general partner before moving into tier 2. The first option, well, basically, let's just read the question. It says, does the GP get an equal return on cash before moving into the next tier, or only a return of capital? So basically, after the limited partner gets their capital back plus the cash to meet their required return, you can select whether the general partner just gets the return of capital or will get the equal return. And that always happens after the limited partner's cash is dispersed. So if we go down to the model, we have a preferred return for the LP, and we have an equal return before moving into tier 2. So what we can see here is that our limited partner has an 8% IRR in tier 1, and so does our general partner. Now, when you look at the cash flows, let's pay attention to row 56 and row 69 as we move on in time. Since it's a preferred return, you'll see that the cash flow for the limited partner comes out first, and until the limited partner reaches its 8%, only then will the general partner see the cash come back to them after the limited partner gets their cash. Now let's see what happens when we change the outcome here for the general partner to only get their capital back. So if we come back down, you'll see that our limited partner still has an 8% IRR, but now general partner only has a 0% IRR. And you'll see this here down in the summary of the cash flows. You'll see that there's a profit of about 1.8 million for the limited partner, and there is zero profit currently in tier 1 for the general partner, with $2.7 million left to go into tier 2. All right, now let's go back up to the input section, and let's turn off the preferred return for the limited partner. So is there a preferred return for limited partner? We're going to say no this time. And so what happens is row 16 blacks out, and then underneath rows 17 through 19 open up. And here you can now allocate the cash that's coming to the partnership in tier 1. However, the deal is structured. So right now we have the limited partner receiving 90% of the cash flow in tier 1 up until there's an 8% IRR, and our general partner is receiving 10%. And this is coming out, I guess it's in pari passu to what they put in. And so if we go down now to our cash flow in tier 1, and let's look again at row 54 and 67, and let's move forward in time. You can now see that the cash outflow is happening in unison, where 90% is going to the limited partner and 10% is going to the general partner up until both parties reach the 8% return in tier 1. Okay, so let's do one final thing. Let's switch the IRR to an equity multiple. And you'll see now we have an equity multiple in tier 1 of 1.15, and there's no preferred return, so the positive cash flow will come out equally depending on how it's split, how you allocate the split for tier 1 here. So let's just change this up. For example, let's make this 75% to the limited partner. So all negative cash flows should still be at 90%, while any positive cash flows should come out as 75% to the limited partner and 25% to the general partner. So let's go down and check it out. All right, so let's highlight our rows here. We can see that our cash outflow is 90-10. And let's check our cash inflow. And it is now 75-25. And you can see all the IRR calculations. The areas where we are calculating IRR is all blacked out all through the model. So in tier 2 it's blacked out as well. All right, so let's keep going here. Let's move into tier 2. So after all our cash is distributed in tier 1 and it satisfies the equity multiple, the cash remaining now moves down into tier 2. And so what is happening here is that this is splitting the available cash flow based on how we are allocating the cash flow in tier 2 in the input section. So the way this works is that the only two inputs that are available in tier 2 to play around with here is both the equity multiple hurdle or the IRR hurdle if we're in that scenario, and the general partner's promote. So the original outcome for tier 1 was 10% to the general partner, and so in this scenario, once the partnership or once the limited partner hits its 1.15x equity multiple, the general partner now receives an additional 15% of all the cash flows. So 10% plus the 15%, the general partner now receives 25% of all the cash flows in tier 2 up until the limited partner hits a 1.2x equity multiple. So now in tier 2, the limited partner is getting 75% of all the cash flow until the limited partner hits the 1.2, and the general partner is getting 25% of all those cash flows until the limited partner hits the 1.2, meaning that they're getting an overweighted proportion of the cash in tier 2, which gives them, the general partner, a higher equity multiple. So with that, in this scenario, once our limited partner hits a 1.2x, there's still almost $2 million remaining for the final tier. So in the last tier, there's no more hurdles to hit. So basically says the remaining cash flow is split according to whatever your input is. So here, our input is 30% goes to the general partner and 70% of the remaining cash flow goes to the limited partner. So all of this is calculated down in this section, and then the total cash flows are all allocated together, and we get our final return metrics and our total profit here, and all of this is summarized back up in the final section up here in the return metrics. And that's really it for this video, and I hope this all made sense, and I hope that you enjoy this additional module that's added to the condominium development model. Thanks a lot, and see you soon. Bye.